Okay, so we're in Perek Gimel and Shar Gimel in Nefesh HaChaim. So last time we spoke about the Madrig of forefathers, of the Ovis. Okay, and we're going to continue from there, right? So we're continuing this theme that Einoid Milvada, there's nothing besides Hashem, and that the way to be Milvatal, to nullify any sort of external forces, any sort of negative forces or any sort of judgments that a person has, is to attach everything to the oneness of Hashem and to realize that all those things exist only as a vehicle for the for the master plan, and as a result, they kind of fall away, or they've accomplished their purpose. And so we saw different stories with Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, his abilities to not become it was untouchable because he was completely attached to the idea of Einoid Milvada. Right, so we mentioned this already, but we'll start again from the beginning of Perek Gimel. This was the idea of the service that the forefathers served throughout all their days. Because they, in their awesomeness of their righteousness, with the haras kedushas libam, in the purity of the holiness of their heart, they attached their thoughts completely to the will of Hashem. Kol Yemehem, all their days, without a moment's interruption. As a result, they were mevatel, they nullified all the other external forces in the world. And they were considered like nothing before them. Therefore, so they also merited miracles. B'shidud ha'amaroches v'tzvaehem, as when a suspension of pre-planned, maroches, they're like orders that Hashem set up, meaning in mazolis, in the constellations, right? Like we mentioned, Avram Avinu by nature was not supposed to have children, and Hashem suspended that. Therefore, nisyachet shmo yizborach aleihem, Hashem, so much so that Hashem is miyached, is connects his name on them, to them. Lehikore Elokei Abraham, that so we refer to Hashem as the God of Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, the God of Isaac. Oka Amroi Yizborach be'atzma, and Hashem says like himself when he refers to himself, when he says, tell the Jews in Mitzrayim, Elokei Avoseichem, the God of your forefathers came to take you out. So that's also part of this famous statement of the sages, that the forefathers are themselves the chariot, meaning they are the carriers of God's will in the world, God's honor in the world. Okay, good. So that's the forefathers. They are completely attached to the will of Hashem, and so as a result, they merited suspension of the forces of nature, because we're saying that the forces of nature are also just an expression of the will of Hashem. So this will of Hashem supersedes this will of Hashem, because this is the higher will of Hashem. This is closer to the Hashem Echad Einoid Milvado aspect of it, right? And that's the forefathers. That's the reality that the forefathers lived in. Good. Amnam, however, Madregas Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom Hoysa Oid Yoser Gavoya. The level of Moshe Rabbeinu was even greater than this. Okay, so let's figure this out. What can be greater than this? So let's see. Like the Torah itself testifies, Novi, etc. There was no greater prophet like Moshe Rabbeinu. Mm-hmm. Right? And the essential difference between his level and their level, Ber who is Baruch Ba'atzma, Hashem himself again explains, V'Omer, and as he says, right, this famous psukim in Parshas Va'era, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem, Ani Havaya, V'Eiro el Avraham, right, I appeared to Avraham, etc., B'Kel Shakai, right, with this name of Kel Shakai, Ushmi Hashem lo nodati lahem, and with the name of Hashem, I did not make myself known to them, right? So we see that distinction is made, this famous distinction in the beginning of Parshas Va'era, right? The difference between the way Hashem is about to appear now, right, to Moshe Rabbeinu, and the way he appeared to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And the difference is that he appeared to them with this Kel Shakai, right? And we understand that Shakai is the name Shaddai, right? Is Misha Omer Le'olam Dai, that he said to the world enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a name that uniquely represents Hashem within the framework of the world. There's within the physical nature of the world. Ani Kel Shakai, I am the God of nature. That's really what Kel Shakai is, right? And Havaya Yud Kei Vavke is a much more, going back to what we said before in this Kav and Tzimtzum, that this is a much more loftier name, right? So that's the distinction. That's the way the distinction between Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov and Moshe Rabbeinu was framed. So let's see, Va'inyan, and the meaning is, who etzem achiluk shenizbar l'mayla ben Hashem alakim l'shem havaya baruch hu. Really, the difference is the same difference that we mentioned before between the name Alakim and the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Let's see, Ki al haroiv, because generally speaking, be'inyan hasagos ha'avos, regarding the level of the forefathers, matzinu nemar Hashem Alakim, we find most often the name Alakim is used, right? Even though Yud Kei Vav Kei does appear, but more often it is the name of Alakim that appears in the narrative of the forefathers. For example, Halakim asher hishalchu avoisai lefanov, right? The God before whom my forefathers walked. Halakim haroy oisim yoidi, or the Halakim who shepherded me from my earliest days, right, etc. Right. So v'chein, right. So we see the name Halakim is the name that corresponds to the forefathers. V'chein anachnu koirim oisoi yisborach Elokei Abraham, and we also refer to Hashem again, Elokei Abraham, which is part of Elokim, right? As I wrote above when we spoke about their holy level. So what does that mean? So again, what is Elokim? Let's remind ourselves, what is Elokim? Elokim is that Hashem is the Bala Koiches Kulam. Hashem is the master of all forces, of all other forces that exist, because the word Elohim can also be Elohim, which like judges are called Elohim. So the word Elohim, it just means a certain authority in the world, certain force, a certain power, right? When we're talking about to Hashem Elohim, He is the source of all of that power. He is the master of that power, and the one that gives power to that power. That's the name Elohim. Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is. One second, I want to make sure. Right, so he said before in the end of Parak Yud Aleph, he said that Hashem, it doesn't explain it too well over there, now that I look at it, but his contrast is that the name Elokim, like we said, is Bala Koiches Kulam, right? He's the master of everything that's going on in this world, but this world is a reality, and Hashem is just the master of all that exists. The Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei is more from the perspective of outside of this reality, meaning that this reality is only a mirage, right? It's from his perspective. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Again, even though he speaks out that even though, again, any name of Hashem is automatically within the creation of the world, because he himself in his world has no name. He has no name, means something outside of him is referring to him by that. And that there is really nothing outside of him, but still within, as close as we can appreciate his reality, Yud Kei Vav Kei is that phenomenon. Yud Kei Vav Kei is the name through which we can have a glimpse of the reality through Hashem's eyes. Right? Okay. So Hashem, even so, in the end we say Hashem Hu Halakim, right? That even the Halakim is really Hashem, right? But there is still that kind of essential flavor, difference in flavor between Halakim and Hashem, even though they're referring to the same entity, right? Hashem Echad, but Halakim is more from our perspective, that Hashem is the master of what's going on in this world, and Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is more from his perspective, that he has that there is really no world besides him, right? So now that's what he wants to say now, that the forefathers, they completely were mevatel themselves to the will of Hashem, and they understood that Hashem is the master of everything that exists in this world. But Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be kind of the flip side of that phenomenon, where he will actually be able to be the person to have the highest madrega, to be able to sort of really experience the view of the world through Hashem's eyes, in as much as humanly possible. Okay? So let's see that in the text. Right, so where were we? Amnam hasogas nevosim loy hoyso bevitul hakoychos mimitziyusom legamri. Their prophecy, right? Their level of prophecy was not from the perspective of complete nullification, complete disexistence, if you will, right? Legamri, completely. V'zeh shomer hakosov. That's what the pasuk is saying. V'ero el Avraham, and I appeared to Avraham, v'kel shakai. That Kel Shakai is very similar to the name of Elakim, meaning that it is within the framework of this world. Means to say, I am the master of all the forces. My will, every single moment. I arrange all of the orders of all the powers that exist. From what I said at the beginning of creation. V'zeu kel shakai. This is what the kel shakai means. I set the world of teva, right? I set the world in nature. I set the rules of nature, but I can also kel shakai. I can also say enough. I can also suspend the rules of nature. But again, that's all within the architecture that I set up for this world. Even the suspension of that architecture is still within the architecture. Requires architecture. Right. So it's like it's like a program. You put a program together, but you also have like another program that is able to override this program.
And you need the programming language, so the platform.
Right, so but all of that, right, exactly. All of that is still within the program that you created. Zeo kel shakai. That's kel shakai. Avol bebechinas inyan shmi Hashem. But when we're talking about the level of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, kamosh in Zbar Perish Shnyon Le'el Perik Yud Aleph, like we just mentioned from Perik Yud Aleph, Lo noidati lohem ba'asogos nevosim. I did not make myself known to them in their grasp of their prophecy. Right? Their prophecy was not on that level. They saw Hashem as the ultimate master, but not to the level that they were able to see, to know Hashem in complete, from His perspective, right? I mean, because in a way that's the contradiction. It's a paradox. If you can see Hashem from His perspective, then you don't exist. So therefore, you cannot see Hashem from His perspective, because if you would see Him, you wouldn't exist. So it's a catch-22. You can't, right? Aval Moshe Rabbeinu, but Moshe Rabbeinu, Olav Shalom, Hoyso Hasogas Nevu Osoi Be'inyan Bechinas Hashem Ha'etzam Miyuchad Havaya Baruch Hu. His level of prophecy was on the perspective, or from the perspective of Yud Kei Vav Kei, blessed be He. And therefore, lo hoya shum koyach choitzes, there was no chatzitza, there was no barrier b'fnei or hasogas nevuosai, before his light of his prophecy. V'chein al yidei kol nisei Hashem shenasu al yodo, and the same thing really goes for the miracles that he performed. They were not just a regular suspension of rules of nature. Moshe Rabbeinu's miracles were not, Avram Avinu had miracles, Yitzchak had miracles. All right, what's the difference? These miracles and those miracles. He's saying, no, there is a difference. Avram Avinu's miracles was where the point is, it was a script within the script of the world. That the script to suspend the rules of nature were within the script that Hashem put into the world. I created the world, I can make it stop. I created the rules of the world, I can make the rules of the world be suspended. Moshe Rabbeinu's miracle is somehow, again, I'm not sure exactly where you see that particular difference, but Moshe Rabbeinu's miracles were complete nullification of the rules of nature altogether. Again, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Question.
So, v'chein al yidei kol nisei Hashem shenasu al yodo. Say all the miracles that performed via his hand. Ro kulam, all of them saw bitul mitzias kol hakoyches legamri, complete nullification of all the forces of nature. Again, it's hard to understand. The Gemara, the Medrash, and if the Gemara says it, the Medrash says it, that even this that the sea split for the Jewish people as they were crossing the Yam Suf, right? The Gemara says that this was a Tanai, this was a condition that was made on the sea from Sheshis Yimei Bereshis. So again, the way he's talking, it sounds that suspension is more like that secondary script that was put in, as opposed to something completely like, complete nullification of what exists. So let's see. Ve'einoid milvado is barach legamri. There's nothing really beside him completely. Kimashmoy. Kumoy shomer ato harei seladas ki Hashem hu elakim. Right. So the pasuk is saying, this is Moshe Rabbeinu is talking. You have shown to us this knowledge that Hashem is the Elakim. Vehu inyan uperush Hashem miyuchad havaya baruch hu. And that's really what this name Yud Kei Vav Ki represents. Okay, so this is what is written. Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe, Vayomer Elov ani Hashem. Right, same idea that it starts out Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe. Elokim spoke to Moshe, and he says to him, "I am Hashem." He made it known to him etzem bechinas hasogas nevuosoi, the essence of his prophecy. Shigam Hashem Elokim etzloi, that even the name Elokim for him. Hakol bechinas havaya. It was all an aspect of havaya, of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kinyan hakos of ki Hashem hu ha'elakim ein roid milvado. Again, going back to this phrase that Hashem is the Elakim and there's nothing besides him. Ume'ozva elech, and from that point on, from Parshas Va'era and on, lo nizker etzloi ela vaydaber Hashem vayomer Hashem. Right, only the Yud Kei Vav Kei was the name that used between Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem. And that's what it means when it says "V'loikom novi oida." There never rose another prophet like Moshe. Asher yodoi Hashem ponim el ponim. It doesn't say Hashem yodoi Elakim ponim el ponim. It says he knew Yud Kei Vav Kei ponim el ponim, face to face. V'zeu shom b'tzikun chavov ulegabei oven lo yischazio ela b'minolim. That Hashem, he appeared. I'm not sure what it means with shoes. Right, meaning they didn't take off their shoes. Aval legabe Moshe b'loi kisuyo klal. I guess that's what it means. That there was no covering at all. V'roza demila v'eira el Avram, and that's what it means. And I appeared. Right, so there's no separation whatsoever between Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem. But even so, that's the part that's even greater. By Avram, there was some kind of a covering, there was some kind of a separation, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu, there was no such separation. This also explains what the Gemara says in Chulin. Godel shenemer b'Moshe v'Aaron yoser mimah shenemer b'Avraham. Greater is what's said regarding Moshe and Aaron more so than what was said about Avraham. The ilu be'Avraham ksiv, that regarding Avraham it is written va'noichi ofer ve'efer, when Abraham is davening to Hashem about stoim, right, and he wants to say, he says, let me speak to you one more time, but even though I am nothing but offer, dirt, ve'efer, and ashes, right? So Hashem is right. So ve'ilu b'Moshe ve'Aaron ksiv anachnu ma. But by Moshe Rabbeinu, when Jews complained to Moshe and Aaron, they said, v'nachnu ma, what are we that you're complaining to us? Right? So the Gemara is looking at it is more than just expressions, just humble expressions, that there is actual essential meaning and essential difference between the two. Right? So he explains. Ki offer ve'efer, so the dirt and ashes, right, that Avraham refers to himself as dirt and ashes, right? So let's think about just to appreciate those two words, right? Dirt is soil, right? It is the beginning of kind of growth. You can plant a seed into dirt and it will produce something, right? But it also a place where somebody gets buried to decompose, right? Dirt is the beginning and the end in a way, but ashes, what?
Afer is the end.
And afer ashes is what you get after you burn something up, right? You get complete, the most nothing leftovers is afer. There's nothing left besides, everything was burnt up, right? So, so there's two aspects there, right? So he's saying, I am dirt and ashes. I think he might be saying that, I'm not sure, I'm just thinking that out loud now, but he's saying that, dirt is something also you could form, you could make, you could make it into a shape, you could make a sculpture, you could make a vessel out of it, right? But it's, on one hand, I am dirt, meaning I'm here to be formed by you and to be used in whatever way you want me to be used, right? I'm this formless matter for your will.
Right,
but but even that I'm just ashes, meaning there's nothing real that's mine. It's like I'm pure ashes next to your will, right? That's what Avraham Avinu is saying, right? But still, and also, it sounds very lofty, like next to Hashem's will, I'm nothing but nothing of self, pure ashes, but offer ready to be formed in whatever way you want me to, whatever way your will wills, right? But I'll call upon him, says the Nefesh HaChaim, but still in all misroya adayin lemetzius offer. There is still, however, the reality, the existence of dirt. There is some kind of a physical item that exists. Right? It's ready to be filled by whatever abstract ideas that are necessary. You want me to do chesed, I'll do chesed. You want me to do din, I'll do din. You want me to be this? There is still a physical entity which is ready to take on whatever shape that Hashem wants it to take on. Aval Moshe Rabbeinu, Olav Hasholem, but Moshe and Aaron, they said, Omer v'nachnu ma, what are we? Right? Meaning we are nothing. Ki'ilu ein shom metzius bo'elam klal legamri. Because in their eyes they were really nothing, meaning they really did not see themselves as any kind of existence, right? So if you to use a modern day example, just an illustration, right? So we think about money, right? The famous history of money, right? Initially, money was gold. So gold is a precious metal, right? Gold is a precious metal, and it's got intrinsic value. Eventually, we went away from gold and we got paper money, right? Paper in itself is worth nothing, but it has some kind of imaginary value that we ascribe to it. But there is still something. There is still that paper that's worth maybe less than a penny, but the intrinsic value is less than a penny. But it's $100 bill, so it has value that we ascribe to it, the abstract value that we put into it. And now all of a sudden we have Bitcoin, which is completely fiat money. It's what is it? It's completely nothing. It's just a string of letters and numbers, and so it's completely nothing. And yet it has, or at least for now, it has value, right? So that's a similar thing over here. So Avram and Avram refers to himself as Ofer ve'Efer, so he's like the paper money where there's lots of value, but there's nothing nothing there, right? And the Moshe Rabbeinu is more like Bitcoin, that there is really nothing left there. V'im kim gam es Aaron klal kolol itoy bezoysa bechina. Now he wants, as in parentheses, parenthetically, he's saying, now 1 second, what about Aaron? He's also included in this sentence, right? It wasn't just Moshe that was nothing. It was Aaron too. As it says, Godel shenemer b'Moshe ve'Aaron, right? It says the statement refers to Moshe and Aaron together. So he's saying Lefishat Lunas Yisrael Hoysal Shneim Heshivim B'Loshen Rabim. Aval Heikar B'Zoysa Madrega Hanoira Hoyahu Levad. He says that he just included Aaron because Klal Yisrael complained to both of them at the same time. But really, he's saying that this Madrega V'Nachnu Ma is really a Madrega that reserved for Moshe Rabbeinu, not really Aaron's Madrega. So he just demoted Aaron from that level, yeah. Even though, again, I mean, clearly Aaron can't be that demoted. He must have been included, because we say in Tehillim, what's that pasuk says? Moshe ve'Aaron b'koyana v'Shmuel b'koyrei Shmoy. And the Gemara darshans that those are the three greatest prophets, right? We have Moshe, Aaron, and then Shmuel is the next level, right? So clearly Aaron and Moshe is not right, not far down from Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. V'zeu she'omar b'Shmo Yisrael b'Parsha Yud Aleph. This is what they said in Medrash and Shmois. Yitzchak Omar leMoshe. Yitzchak says to Moshe, Ani godel mimcho, I am greater than you. Why? Shepashatiti tzavori, I outstretched my neck when I was brought as a korban. V're'isi es pnei hashchina, and I was able to see with my eyes the face of the Shechina. Omar lo Moshe. Moshe responds to him, Ani nisaleisi yoyser mimcho, I actually elevated myself even greater than you. You saw the face of Shechina and your eyes, you lost sight, right? And your eyes got weakened. I spoke to Hashem. My eyes did not get diminished. So it says, there's more here, but it's understood by those that understand. And v'ayin mashikosav HaChaim v'tal b'sefer Gilgulim b'ferish ma'amoram zal Avraham Yaakov psik tama. Right. So there's another famous thing that when Hashem calls out to Avraham or to Yaakov, he right, or to any of the prophets, he calls them twice. Right. He calls as Avraham, Yaakov. But over there, there's psik tama. There is a meseg, there's a line between the two names. So there's like a pause. It requires a pause between the first Avraham to the second Avraham, right? Moshe loy psik tama. But by Moshe there is no mesek. There is no pause between the two names of Moshe. And he's saying shehu al inyan hefsek v'chatzitza muetas minyan aguf. And the reason for that is because there is no. That's the symbolic way we represent the idea that Moshe had no chatzitza. There's no barrier between him and spirituality. There's no between him and Hashem. There's no. You call Moshe. There's no Avraham. Pause. Avraham. Okay, and I'm not sure this paragraph I'm not clear about. V'inyan Ofer ve'Efer. Now he says as an aside, what's the idea of Ofer ve'Efer? Hu kinyan kavonas para aduma. This is like para aduma sheyuchlulu hapar dinim 280. The 280 dinim are included in Mekor Shorshim Ba'alef. That they are kind of reversed to their root, which is in the letter Aleph, which is shehu koyach haposhut shel kol ha'oises. Aleph represents the simple source of all the letters.
I
don't know what that means.
I don't have that in my book.
No problem. In the Haggadah, on the bottom.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. Again, this is Kabbalistic stuff I don't fully understand. V'inyan achiluk ben Ofer le'Efer And the difference between dirt and ashes, kinyan achiluk ben kosnos oir le-oir. Right, like the difference between the kosnos oir, the leather garments, and kosnos oir, the light garments. Again, the ayin and the aleph. Again, whatever that means. Okay, we continue. All right, so we'll start Parak Yud. We'll start Parak Yud Dalet. V'lezois. All right, so I'll just summarize. So what do we have? Again, we don't fully understand this. At least I don't fully understand it. But what he is saying is that Moshe Rabbeinu reached the madrega as far as humanly possible to see the creation without really seeing it, like to completely nullify the creation and see the world from Hashem's perspective again, and as much as humanly possible. Right. So that madrega was not reached. It's not really reachable in the derech hateva way, because how can you be a recipient, which means you exist, and see the madrega of your non-existence? So that's a miracle that doesn't exist in a normal derech hateva way. So that's why Moshe Rabbeinu is like, we don't really aspire to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. We aspire to be like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but we don't aspire to be like Moshe Rabbeinu, because he is just a unique creation that was created for that purpose, for that particular time, for to fulfill the mission that he had to fulfill. But that was Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, so Perek Yud Dalet. So as a result, Moshe Rabbeinu was available every single moment for prophecy. Like we said, it says in the pasuk that after Matan Torah, he says, tell everybody to go back to their tents, but you stay around and you will listen to what I have to say. Right, so we say that from then on, Moshe Rabbeinu had to be always available for nevuah. And as our rabbis remark, what I just said. More than that, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to get nevuah in any place that he was located. Meaning he didn't have to be, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim to receive the beam of prophecy. He could have received it any time, any place. He was always kind of outside of the realm of the physical space. B'hashva gemura, because everything to him was completely equal. B'lo shum chiluk klal, with no levels. Like he said again, we started this shar with that whole idea that the reality is divided into levels. The shul is one type of holy place. The bathroom is a type of unholy place. Right, but Moshe Rabbeinu, I guess none of this really made sense. Etc. Sources. Amudov also kesef, that he made. Right, this is pasuk in Shir Hashirim. It says he made the beams of silver. Why did Hashem speak to Moshe from the sneh, from the burning bush? To teach you there is no place on land that is completely empty of the Shechina. Even within this thorny bush, he spoke to him from that particular place. Again, it highlights his level of prophecy, which is unique. It's only when he reached that level and he requested, Hashem, show me your honor, to really kind of intake this awesome idea, and to really see to really understand Hashem as he fills the entire earth with his honor. That there is really no place that's devoid of Hashem. There had to be some place where Moshe Rabbeinu could not have reached, right? Because as Hashem ve'eshiva who is baruch, as Hashem responds to him directly, lo yisuchal lirois, you cannot see. Ki lo yirani hodam v'chai, you cannot see me and live. Those two things do not work together. Okay, let's stop here. So we got this. This is the last parak until we finish Shar Gimel. Okay.